Greetings and welcome. On behalf of Mayor Michael B. Coleman and the City of Columbus, I'd like to welcome everyone. We're thrilled that you have joined us today for the kickoff of the 12th Mayor's Small Business Conference and Expo for what promises to be an empowering and inspirational day. I'm happy to serve as the director of the Mayor's Equal Business Opportunity Office, and we certainly, again, welcome you to our wonderful conference. So let's get started. Our MC is a familiar face here in the Central Ohio. In fact, it's because of her that we know so much about what goes on here in our great city. Please join me in welcoming our hostess, Michaela Hunt of NBC4. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director Carter, for being up here today. Again, I'm Michaela Hunt with NBC4, and I am absolutely thrilled to be with this group today. Normally, I am working on NBC4 Midday, our new newscast, but I was able to get away today to be with you all, and it's just fantastic to be here. I can't even begin to tell you. We are going to be inspired today. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to be educated as well. I think you're really going to enjoy the program we have. I do want to ask a question, though, while you're out there starting your lunch, because, you know, in the lives that we have, that we lead, we are so incredibly busy. How many of you are on social media of some sort? Can I get you to raise your hands? Okay. And how many of you are on Pinterest specifically? Do you know what I'm talking about? Any ladies out there? Okay. Well, I'm a person who is on Pinterest, and one of the things in terms of managing stress, and I think about this a lot, especially with what Reverend Anderson was saying, is I have this board called Words to Live By. And long before Pinterest began, I was the girl in my sorority in college that carried around a little notebook of inspirational quotes. So before Pinterest even existed, I was thinking about these words to live by. What's important to you? What drives you? And if you were to look at my Words to Live By board that now exists in 2014, you would see things like start somewhere, something as simple as that, or never give up, great things take time, or this is a favorite one, life is short, buy the shoes, right? Yeah, you got to buy the shoes. Thank you. You got to buy the shoes. But, you know, here we are today talking about momentum with this forum and this group. And there was one quote that I thought really stood out in the midst of kind of looking through some things this morning. And it's a very simple one, but there's a lot within it. And I saw it on my board and I wanted to share it with you. It says, "Promise me you will not spend so much time treading water and trying to keep your head above the waves that you forget, truly forget, how much you have always loved to swim." We've got to remember how much we love to swim in our professional lives, our personal lives, and when it all comes together, amazing things can happen. So again, today, education, inspiration, a little bit of fun, and it's going to be so good. Another woman to meet this afternoon, someone who is helping us start off our luncheon, is Councilmember Eileen Paley. I want to welcome her to the stage, who is bringing greetings on the behalf of the City of Columbus.
Thank you, Michaela. I am Eileen Paley, and I'm proud to serve as Columbus City Council member. And I bring greetings from Council President Andrew Ginther, as well as my other colleagues, and I'm happy to see our newest member, Shannon Harden, in the audience. In fact, I understand you will be hearing from Councilmember Mills and Councilmember Tyson tomorrow. Momentum is a great theme for the Small Business Conference and Expo, and it dovetails perfectly with the theme of today's event, Women, Wealth, and Power, transforming our communities through our business ownership. In light of the passing of one of our greatest heroes, Jerry Mock, this room full of women reflects the spirit of Jerry Mock and the spirit of Columbus. As a business owner myself, as well as a proud member of Columbus NABO, thank you, Jeanette Armbruster. I look forward to hearing from our guest speaker today, Miss Lisa Price, founder and president of Carol's Daughters. Thank you for coming today. And let's give Director Melinda Carter and Director Greg Davies and their team a round of applause for this wonderful event. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the interest keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I'm so proud that we can do that in the city of Columbus, because we have the best mayor in the country, Mayor Michael B. Coleman, who has made our city the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And finally, we also have my Congresswoman, Joyce Beatty, who has taught us all that when women succeed, America succeeds. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, Eileen, for those remarks this afternoon. But right now, we're going to have a very brief video that spotlights just some of the amazing things that is happening with Columbus's women business owners. There's a lot of story to tell. We've tried to put it into a video today. And after that, we'll have remarks by the man who brought us all here today, as Eileen was speaking of him, Mayor Michael B. Coleman. So first, enjoy this video.
Why is it important that we all support small business in Columbus? Well, first, it's jobs and opportunities. Small businesses create jobs. It provides for economic growth and prosperity for our people, and it provides for diversity of our economy. It makes us all stronger when small businesses are strong.
I think someone would start a business in the great city of Columbus because of all the supports, from small business to large business. We have the supports.
As entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, we tend to assume we've got to figure it all out ourselves, and we struggle on our own.
There's so many different resources and programs that are available here in Central Ohio to help women entrepreneurs.
So if I have a small business and I want to understand the business opportunities in the city for me, I have a business concierge service that will work individually with those businesses.
EBO prides itself on having relationships with women advocacy organizations across our city. We will connect you with like women.
Why work by yourself when there is an organization of like-minded women? We're all business owners, so we know what you're going through. We have to figure out how to raise funds, how to find clients, how to satisfy clients, how to balance our work and our life. So there is a lot of opportunity by surrounding yourself and working with a group such as ours. It really takes your business to the next level.
We assist women-owned businesses in gaining momentum through empowerment, providing them the resources and tools necessary for them to build a sustainable business.
Partnering with the Women's Business Development Center that was just recently relaunched, it's a great thing for us. Right now we have 2 locations, one in the King Lincoln District and one in the Lenox OSU area. We also have our Dancewear Boutique, which is at the Lincoln Theater.
We started back with the city of Columbus, I would say about over 20 years ago. And being new into business at least got us an entree into all the different departments and build relations with the different departments at the city of Columbus.
The city's been really supportive of our company, and as a result of that, other people are eager to see, well, if the city of Columbus is doing business with Uniglobe, we should give them a try as well.
Great organizations, great companies, and great leadership in our city that has shown that women can succeed.
Understanding of diversity, understanding of disadvantage, understanding of the DB is very, very important to the leaders of our community.
I would think that our move to Columbus has really helped us to propel the momentum and to continue that momentum even today. And it really is the talented people that we have been able to utilize here in this great city.
If these large corporations are going out of their way to be here in Columbus, Ohio, then as a small business owner, we could do the same thing and do well.
We're very proud of our location and our accessibility to the rest of the consumer base throughout the country.
When you open up a small business in Columbus, it will succeed. With fortitude, with vision and hard work, Columbus is the place to start a business.
Central Ohio is a great place to live, work, raise a family, and to start a woman-owned business.
Women mean 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 business.
Viva la mujer empresaria.
Women mean business.
Women mean business.
I have to let you know that woman means business. They don't joke around.
afternoon, everybody. Oh my goodness, every year this gets bigger and better every year. This is the 12th annual Mayor Small Business Conference and Expo. Now, this is my 15th year in office, and I apologize for the first 3 years we didn't have this. So we got another 25 years to make up for it. And this Women's Business Forum is getting just fabulous. You know, we started small, and now we're taking up this big space. Next year we'll be over at the arena. I'll look forward to that. The theme of this year's conference is momentum, and the topic is transforming our communities. Well, momentum is a nice way of saying the big mo. The big mo, moving forward, never backward, never stagnant. We don't believe in the status quo in this city. We believe in the status mo, the big mo. It's about drive. It's about vision. It's about leaning forward, thinking before you jump, but jump anyway. Planning before you run, but run anyway. Visualizing where you'll be one day before you climb, but climb anyway. That's the big mo. And so, in Columbus, women doing business, demonstrating their business expertise, improving our communities like never before in our region and in our nation. In fact, some great things going on in our city. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Columbus is the number 9 small business-friendly metro in the nation. We're ranked number 7 for women entrepreneurs. We're the best city for working mothers, and we're also a top city for women's chief executive officers in the nation. And we're going to do better, and we're going to do more. Because I'm going to steal Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. I'll give her the credit for this. But that women mean business in Columbus. And when women succeed, Columbus succeeds. Am I right about that? And so women exemplify momentum, the big mo. And I thank all of you for your hard work. I'm very excited about our speaker today. This is a great event. When women can get together, mentor each other, make our city better, show us, and lead us the way. Nothing but leaders in this room. And you're leading our city, leading our state, and leading our country. God bless you. And I'll bring back Michaela, wherever she is. Michaela, there you are.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman, for being here today and for speaking to us. Now I want you to join me in welcoming another dynamic woman that the mayor just mentioned. When she's not representing Ohioans on the Hill, she also doubles as a small business owner. Please welcome to the stage U.S. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon. Wow, what an audience. It is indeed my honor to not only be here as a small business owner and a member of Congress, but to be here to say thank you. Thank you to Mayor Coleman. Thank you to all the people involved in putting this together. And I'm going to tell you what the mayor called you. He said it was put together by Coleman women. So he said, just call them the Coleman women, and they will know who they are. I have an incredible opportunity to stand here and introduce someone who really needs no introduction. But as a small business owner myself, it's important to have women who support you. I know there's so many women in the audience that I can't say thank you to all of you individually, so collectively I'll say thank you. But to someone like T Street, who motivates me every day as a motivational speaker, and someone like Shelley Fisher Davis, who takes my picture at every event I'm at, and someone like Takesha Shepherd Cheney, I say to you as young sisters in the business, thank you. And now I'm here to introduce our keynote. Now, you know, as a business owner and a member of Congress, you have tons of staff and they write you all of these things to say. But there's a young sister in my office that's staffing me today named Veronica Brownlee. And Veronica said to me, Congresswoman, don't read all that stuff about her. Don't you know who Lisa Price is? This is all about Carol's daughter. This is a bad sister that started from humble beginnings in a kitchen with a bad mama who told her to get out there and make something of herself. I said, Veronica, I can't say that. Lisa will think I'm crazy. Now, I shared this with Lisa, and she smiled, so I think it's okay to tell you we're in for a real treat. But one thing we need is individuals who support entrepreneurs, and that's to support them more than being at this luncheon and clapping, but it's going into the marketplace and putting your financial resources behind them. So I'm going to tell you something that she may not tell you as the speaker. She'll probably talk about being on the Cosby sitcom and how she wrote for that and how she got started. So I'm going to let her do that. But I'm going to tell you to go over to Target or Target, if you want to call it that. And I'm going to tell you to go out and purchase black vanilla. If you want to help her and reward her, do that. If you have children or grandchildren, I want you to follow her line and know that she's going to have a kids line called CD for Kids. That's how we can help her. So with no further ado, let me leave you with these words. Madam C.J. Walker said, I got my start by giving myself a start. And Lisa Price has not only given herself a start, she has given us and this nation an incredible start. Please join me in welcoming Lisa Price.
She flew in from New York this morning, is that right?
That's correct.
And I know you've been busy and I know you've been on the go. So first of all, just thank you so much for being in Columbus. Is this your first time here?
I think it is my first time. I travel so much. I know I've been to Ohio before.
Okay.
But I don't think I was in Columbus before.
Well, wait until you have the experience because it is an amazing city, speaking from someone who's been a little bit everywhere in the country. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You know, Congresswoman Beatty talked a little bit about, she mentioned the Cosby Show. And I kind of want to start there because that really is where this whole thing began. You were working there in the early 90s as they were getting to wrap things up, you know, and so many of us grew up, obviously, and watched The Cosby Show. So
yes.
this line, Carol's daughter started out of that. Tell me how you're working on such a successful show, and then why you started to do this.
Well, I was working on The Cosby Show. A lot of people think that being assistant to the writers meant that you wrote scripts. No. I was their assistant. I took their notes, I typed and so forth, so I didn't have a successful writing career on The Cosby Show. But the way that Carol's daughter came out of that environment was I absolutely loved what I did for work every day. I loved that show. I watched it on television for 6 years before I worked there. I worked there for the last 2 seasons of the show. And it was the first time that I had a job that didn't feel like work, because I was passionate about what I was doing. So I knew how to recognize the difference between having had a job that was a job and you couldn't wait to get out at 5 o'clock, to working on a show where my hours easily ran from 12 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the morning. And I loved it, and I didn't mind. And I worked Saturdays and Sundays. Pretty much every holiday was worked except for Christmas and New Year's. And it was a great, great experience for me to know what that felt like, to be prepared for being an entrepreneur, because once I became an entrepreneur, I was used to working weekends, I was used to long hours, I was used to not getting paid a lot of money, I was used to not having health insurance and all that kind of stuff. And then also working around Mr. Cosby was an opportunity to watch someone change and break the rules all the time. He always did it his way. He was always true to what he felt the voice of the characters should be, no matter what anybody else's opinion was. And it wasn't that he wasn't unfair. He was fair and he listened, but he knew what was right.
So how from that did you decide, as you're working on this show, you're experiencing this amazing point in your life, how did you decide to start this in your kitchen and to do this kind of at the same time? What drove you to do that?
It started out as a hobby that started from me being in love with fragrance. I have loved perfume since I was 5 years old and still am today. I fell in love with my grandmother's Chanel No. 5. That's where the love affair started.
I was going to say, I hope I have on the right one today as we're sitting next to each other.
And I began to create moisturizers in my kitchen that I scented with the fragrances that I was making when I started to blend oils and make scents. And I gave them away as gifts to friends, to family, to some of the people on The Cosby Show. And I think because I loved work, when I went home, I wasn't so stressed out from hating my job that the creative juices were flowing. And I continued my television career even after Cosby ended. And Cosby ended in 1992. I started Carol's Daughter at my first flea market in May of '93, but I continued in the television career until February of '96, 1 month before my first child was born, because I knew that I could not work a job, be a new mom, take care of a baby, and work the business. I probably would have just handed my paycheck to the babysitter. So at that point, I decided to work from home and be a mom.
So with the flea market, because I want to touch on that, did you ever imagine sitting in that first or second flea market where you were selling some of these products that this would grow to what it's been now? I mean, did you have that vision?
No, not at all. If you had asked me what I thought the vision of the brand was at that time, I would have said, well, maybe my husband and I will have a house that has a garage. We still don't have a house that has a garage, by the way, because we live in Brooklyn, and there aren't many houses with garages in Brooklyn, New York. But I thought I'd have a house that had a garage, and out of that garage, I'd have a small cottage industry and maybe have 2 or 3 employees. That's what I thought at that time. Not quite the case today.
I was going to say, not by a long shot. So when did this change really happen for you? When did you know this was going to be something bigger, and how did you develop through that, and how did you kind of carve your path? Because in these situations, as many of these women know, that's what you have to do.
Well, there are many phases to that in business. One of the things that I've learned from being in business for 21 years is you have many phases of the next level. So when you get to a certain level, don't think that that's it. You don't plateau. There's another one coming and then another one coming. And for me, the success of the business has not always been the paramount thing in my life, even though businesses being successful is important to them succeeding. So the bottom line is important. I'm not negating that. But for me personally, I've developed to a completely different person today than I was 21 years ago. I'm a different person today than I was 5 years ago, because the path of being this entrepreneur has placed me in situations that make me very uncomfortable, that make me very fearful. And as the mayor said, you still have to jump in and do it. I've jumped many times without the net beneath me. And if anyone here knew me personally, I am not a roller coaster chick. I don't ride in fast cars. I don't drive. I don't like motorcycles. I am not a risk taker. But in my business, I am one, and have become somewhat comfortable with it, because it's what it's pushed me to do. For it to keep succeeding, I've had to keep being less and less fearful. So being the shepherd for it has been amazing for me to see the levels that it goes through. So, there was the point where you decide, okay, I'm not going to work the other job anymore. I'm going to do this full time. There's the point when you take your first employee. There's the point when you open your first store. There are so many levels within it, and I just think it's important to approach it as a journey. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Because you're still building it after 12 years or 15 years, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It is what it is.
So you've lived this Mo, as the mayor was talking
Yes.
about, multiple times.
Yes.
You know, I think sometimes when we become so fearful about what's next, or we fear that change, it's sometimes hard to push through. What were some of the key things, the resources you had to push through some of that fear, to live in that moment of change and decide to take that next step? What really did it for you in those moments?
Well, there's so many. One of the first ones was my mom. I had my mom in my life up until 11 years ago. So whenever I felt like I couldn't handle what I had in front of me, I would call my mother, and she would hear the sound in my voice, and she would say, "Have you eaten anything yet today?" No, I haven't eaten anything yet today, but Ma, I got to figure this out. I have so much that I have to do. Stop talking. Go get a cup of tea, make some toast, call me back. And I would calm down, just going and making the tea and getting the toast, and then, you had to sit down and actually eat the toast. And, this was before we had cell phones attached to our bodies with earpieces, so I had to sit down to use the phone. So we would, calm down, and she would talk to me, and she'd help me strategize and figure out what to do. Well, when I lost her in 2003, I realized, I have to do this for myself now, because Mommy's not here to talk me down off the ledge, as my cousin calls it. And I'm very, very, very blessed to have a husband who is my best friend, who is a wonderful life partner and co-parent with me, and he gives me my 5 minutes to be upset, and then he's like, "Okay, is it over now? Are you good? Can we get back to work? You got it all out?" So that's helpful. And now, after 21 years, I've built a team that understands me as well. So I know to whom I can go to vent. I know to whom I can confide. And then, of course, the ultimate, always there, prayer. When you can't talk to anybody else, you can always talk to God. He's in every hotel room. He's on every airplane. He is always there and always listens, and it's just what you have to do.
I love it that you said you have a team and you know who you can go to and talk to. I think that's sometimes difficult to figure out who we're able to talk to in our lives and really share some of the frustrations that we have. Mm-hmm. How do you make sure that in the midst of being able to talk through frustrations that you still are on your mission, you're on target? Is it taking those moments to vent and then knowing this is exactly what we need to do next? How do you handle that with the team?
Well, with my team, there are certain people that you vent to, and then there are others that you never, ever show that you're having an issue, because they need to know that you know what you're doing, and they need to know that you are their leader. Mm-hmm. If they see you waver, then they become unsure of what it is that they're doing. So that was something that I had to learn, and I learned it the hard way. I can be a very transparent person, and I thought that it was okay to let someone know, well, I'm really not too sure about this, but I think it's a good idea, and I think we should do it. And that the perception of that, because the person did not know me well, was that I was confused, there's weakness and so forth. So you really have to know who on your team you can confide in and who you just have to be the boss to. And have everybody feel comfortable that you know what you're doing. There's a lecture that you can find on YouTube by Bishop T.D. Jakes. Mm-hmm. If you search confidants, constituents, and comrades, knowing the difference in your life is very, very important. And you will make mistakes, and that's okay, because when you make the mistake, you learn who the confidant is and who the constituent is. And that's what I've used to help me. So your comrades do not know how you really feel, but your confidant does.
Confidence, constituents, and comrades. Bookmark that.
Yes.
On YouTube.
Yes.
And watch it later today, it sounds like. We had this great conversation before we kind of started lunch. We actually had a few seconds together talking about women, and I think we're both in the same category. I know many of you are too. We wish there was more than 24 hours in a day, because there's just not enough time to get everything we need to get done on our to-do list. And I think women, we struggle sometimes with having it all, making sure that, we're everything we can be to our partner, to our children, to our family, and then running this, successful business, having this career moving forward. doing it all seems really, really tough. And I thought you had some really interesting thoughts on that, given what you've learned over time, if you could share with the audience.
Absolutely. First of all, there's no such thing as doing it all the time, very well. Okay? So it's okay to have it all, it's okay to do it all, but you're not going to do it all the time, and very well. I noticed that when I would be at a conference, and the conference was mostly women, whenever the question and answer period came up, people would ask, how do you juggle being a wife and a mother with being a business owner? Because I find that really challenging. I can't get everything done. And it became a typical question, and I would, answer it in the appropriate manner. And then I went to a conference for the first time where most of the attendees at the conference were men, and there were very few women in the room. And I realized no one asked the guys that question. No one asked the men how they juggle the kids and the play dates and their business. And I thought, so why are we worried about it? Like, why are we worried about how many meals we cooked versus bought, how many desserts we've made? And so I learned that there were going to be days when I was going to be a really great mom. And then there's going to be days when I'm a really great founder and president. And there's only going to be a handful of days, probably in a month period, where I actually do both of those jobs really well in the same day. And there isn't anything wrong with that, because I'm human. We can't be perfect. We can't be perfectionists, because then you get lost in the minutia. You're stressed out. You don't take time to enjoy the good things that have happened. You might not take time to really enjoy your kids when you're worried about, is their laundry done? Are the dishes done? They don't care. We know they don't care.
They don't.
We care. They're just glad that, you're home. And it's something that I still suffer with today. I walk through the door and I start straightening up. And it's really bad when your 8-year-old says, you just got here and you're working already. So luckily I have her to
remind you,
to
let it go.
To let it go, yes. And she sings that as
From
well.
Frozen, yeah.
Yes.
Let it go.
So, yes.
We can't do as much about it as we want. We all have highs and lows, and dealing with the stresses that we have in life, just some of what we were talking about, trying to do it all, trying to take that business to the next level. And we feel this both professionally and personally. I wanted to ask you, can you discuss one of those lows? And really, how did you recover and bounce back? Because I think that's something that all of us could hear about and learn from today.
Okay. I have a great one. So in March, I believe, of this year, we, Carol's daughter, entered into a Chapter 11 process with the entity that governed our stores. So at the beginning of the year, we had 7 stores. We needed to close 5 of those stores because for the past 4 years, those 5 stores have not been profitable. And looking at the forecast, if it trended the way that it did last year, at the end of 2014, we would have lost $1.4 million from those stores, which the parent company, Carol's daughter, could not afford to do. So we entered into that process. That's something that becomes a public record. Someone wrote an article, and it was an accurate article, but the title of the article said, Carol's daughter declares bankruptcy. And people who are on the internet that pick up little snippets, they pick up the title, and they don't read the article, and then they spread stories, and then people pick up the post, and they don't read the article either. They just read the headline, and they add all of their comments. She charged too much for the products. That's why Black-owned businesses are never successful, because people want too much money. I wasn't smart. Just all of these, negative comments. And I kind of wanted to crawl under a rock. And at the same time, I also wanted to blast every person that had posted a negative post on social media and say, could you read, please? I'm 52 years old, so if anybody knows what RIF is in the room, though yes, there's a few of us, reading is fundamental. read the article first before you comment. So it was very, very difficult to sort of deal with that and have things come up about it. And what was very strange is the gloom and doom of the company was being discussed everywhere, to the point where my neighbors were like, "Are you okay? Are you going to be all right?" And we were actually more financially sound than we had ever been before, but just had to make this difficult business decision. I decided to focus on the growth of the company, the fact that we had just launched in Target, and we had one of the most successful launches of a beauty brand ever in Target. We were the first ethnic brand to launch in every single Target door. So I focused on that. I focused on the fact that in closing those stores, I had to let staff go. We repurposed as much staff as we could within corporate. And for me, whenever those types of layoff kind of things happen, I feel more responsible to be successful because I need to build a story for that person to tell. I need their resume to be even better. "Oh, you worked for that brand? Yeah, So I focused on that. And just last week, I was speaking at Baruch in New York, and one of the students asked me about the bankruptcy. And I was able to answer it without being upset, and was able to answer it knowing that everything had been adjudicated and everything's been settled, and it's closed and it's a done deal and the landlords have their money. But to have come full circle from it. But I did want to crawl under a rock for a while. I was like, do I have to go on HSN? Like, no, right? I don't have to do that.
I could just stay at home.
I can just stay at home
right?
with some ice cream and a blanket.
And that's
the remote. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's amazing is, when I think about this, this is happening, but at the same time, you're expanding your brand to an even broader and wider audience. So you have this article, the stuff that's happening, this low, but in the middle of that, you are reaching this new level. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that expanding products line, and then also tell us a little bit about the successful message you feel like you've been able to take and get out to the public with this new venture.
With the Target venture?
Yes, I believe it's with the Target venture,
okay,
yes.
So those of you who don't know the beauty business, and I know a lot of people here know beauty because this room is full of women, so we know beauty, but the beauty business, retailers typically don't allow brands to be in two places at once. So if you are what's considered a prestige brand and you're available in a department store like Macy's, you are not also available in a mass retailer like Target. Oh. However, if each woman here took out their makeup bag, there might be a Tom Ford something in there or a Chanel something in there, but there's probably a Wet n Wild situation in there as well.
Raise your hand. There you go. So true.
It is how we shop. You're in the grocery store and you see a pink gloss and it's
I have to have it.
And yay, you're gonna grab it. So I felt that we shouldn't be limited by, well, we're prestige, so we can only sell here and we can't sell over there. So we bifurcated the line and took certain products within the line and said, okay, this is going to be what we offer to mass, and Target was on board with that. And these are the products that we're going to keep prestige. And some of our prestige retailers like HSN and Ulta were fine with that plan. Some weren't, so we left those retailers. And so we exist in two places, and we have two lines for two different sets of customers, or the same customer who happens to shop wherever and whenever it's convenient. So, it hasn't been a year yet. It's only been since March, but so far, so good.
So far, so good.
And we'll keep pushing that and, change the rules.
Since you brought up Wet n Wild in our collection of beauty products, I want to ask you, because I think we want to know, what do you think is the next really big trend in skin and hair care? Where do you think we're headed?
Well, hair care is going to continue to mimic skincare in that it's going to be about treatment and regimen. It's not just shampoo, condition. There's shampoo, condition, tone, restore, revitalize. There are serums. There are pre-poos. That's not going to go away. Yes, that's what you do before the shampoo.
Who knew? Okay,
yes,
got
yes.
it. Yeah.
How many people pre-poo? Okay.
I need to talk with you. New word in my vocabulary today.
The other thing that you're going to notice is, and for some people this is a good thing, and for some people it's a bad thing, but you're going to notice that ethnic hair care, as it has been traditionally, is going to become multicultural. And we're not going to shop aisles of the store based on the color of our skin. We're going to shop based on the condition of our hair. So within the next 10 to 15 years, they're all going to be together. And, you know, so Carol's daughter is going to be next to Pantene in Target, because it's not going to be about, well, that's the aisle where the brown people go, and this is the aisle where other people go, especially with our, you know, communities becoming more and more blended and diverse. And, you know, those lines are just blurred now. And it really is it wavy? Is it curly? Is it thick? Is it long? It's not, you know, what your mama looks like.
Yeah, is it sticking straight up today? I mean, yeah, that's seriously what we're looking at. I want to encourage those of you who have questions, because we're going to wrap up things just between her and I in the next few minutes. There's a microphone right in the back. There's a gal there waving her hand. If you have questions for Lisa, I want to have you go back there and actually start to line up as we're finishing up things.
And don't be shy. Ask questions, because I actually have to fly back today. So don't think, oh, I'll talk to her later in the back when it's quiet. No, just stand up in front of everybody and talk.
Yes, head back that direction, and in just a few minutes we will definitely talk about that. If you had to give, you know, all of us today, kind of leave us with the one piece of advice you have to take to be able to really feel successful about what you're doing in your business, what would that be? I mean, I know there's so much.
There is.
But
yeah.
I mean, is there one factor or one piece of advice that really has made a difference in your success, in your development of this brand?
I think the thing that's resonating with me mostly now, and has throughout the years, is the idea of, you know the expression, if you can see it, you can be it? Well, sometimes the universe puts you in a position where everyone's perception of what it is that you have done and are doing is already done. And for you, that's not actually the case. Everyone else is looking and saying, oh, she's so successful, she's made it, she's got so much money, you know, this is happening, that's happening, and actually you're still figuring out, you're still kind of small, you're still struggling, you haven't really made it, but you are successful, and you actually have, if that makes any sense. You have to live in that moment, even though the moment hasn't happened yet, and you have to be comfortable with that. And when you are that way, you continue to move forward, even when you feel like you might be falling back a little bit. You constantly have to be in that moment, even though you're not there yet. And it really became apparent to me the first time when I wrote a book in 2005, and the editor said to me, I think I have a great title for the book, and I hope you like it. And I said, what? And she said, Success Never Smelled So Sweet. And I said, well, it's cute, and I like the play on words, but I don't really feel like I'm successful, because I still have to do this, and I still haven't figured this out, and I still don't know how to do this. And she said, you get to work at what you love to do every single day. And for some people, that's a lot, and that is success. And that was the first time that I allowed myself to define what I was doing at the moment as success, even though it wasn't successful yet, even though it was still a struggling brand. And I think it's very important to live in that space. Don't spend in that space. Don't spend like you've gotten the check. I don't mean that. But live and walk and breathe as if it is already done. Because somebody said to me last week, God starts the story at the end. And we figure our way back to the beginning. So start at the end and be there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have a line of people back there waiting to ask some questions. No shy people. And continue to filter back there if you would like to. So we'll go ahead and take that first question. Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for being here with us. We love you to death.
I love you too, Donna.
Oh, you can see this far back. Okay. So
I know that voice anywhere, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. So there are two important concepts that I know you have experienced, and I think it's important for women business owners to hear from you the importance of two things. One, capital, how use of your capital and then other people's capital for growth. And then the second is to explain Chapter 11, because that wasn't a courageous thing to do. That was a smart thing to do. You restructured your business, and I want to make sure people understand what Chapter 11 means, but also how you capitalize to grow, the decision you had to make in bringing on other capital and the implications of that for control over your business.
Okay. So a lot of times people will ask, how do you know when it's the right time to bring in an investor? And there really isn't a universal answer to that question. It really depends on the business that you're in and what it is that you're trying to achieve. For some people, you can't start anything, depending on the field that you're in, without an investor from the beginning. And for other businesses, you are able to build. For me, I was able to build a brand without investors. But I knew when I had gotten to the point that I couldn't do anything else by myself. And I knew that I was basically one disaster away from losing everything. And then I knew it was the right time to bring in an investor. And what protected me through that process was the fact that I owned my name, I owned my trademark, so the intellectual property of everything with my company was mine. And that was the collateral that I brought to the table, and it was very, very important. And a lot of people do not think about trademarking, and you have to do that you have to own your own name. It's the only collateral that you'll have if you don't have lots of cash. And I had accountants and lawyers that structured an appropriate deal that allowed me to bring in an investor and still not lose control of my company. 3 years after that initial investment, we took on equity partners with Pegasus Capital Advisors. And again, the lawyers and the accountants shepherd you through the deal. But what it is that you're looking at is to make sure that as you're taking in these partners and you're losing some of your equity, that your return is going to be that much larger on the other side. So maybe today you don't own 100%, but you own 42%, but you own 42% of something that's grossing $40 million versus 100% of something that was grossing $5 million. You have to weigh it and know what makes sense for you, but you must have accountants and lawyers advising you, because everything is great in the beginning. It's just like when you get married. You have fun at the reception, and the cake is good, and the DJ was great, and all of that was fine, and then he does the thing you never thought he would do, or she does the thing you never thought she would do, and then you can't stand them anymore. And in business, it's not as easy to just walk away. You can't just walk away from people because you don't like the way they talk. So the contracts are like a prenup, and the lawyers think of all of the various what-ifs that you'll never think about, and that's very, very important. Did I touch on everything? Chapter 11, okay. Chapter 11 is the type of bankruptcy that there's an entity, and for us, the entity was the Carol's Daughter stores. There were 7 stores within that entity, and we only needed to close 5 of the 7. And you're going before a judge with your case, and you're showing what the issues are, where the debts are, what the profits are, the balance sheet, and so forth. And with the way that leases are structured in commercial real estate and in malls, it's very difficult to get out of your leases. So we did try the landlord approach, like, hey, guys, maybe after 6 months, this would be something we shouldn't do anymore. What do you think? And that doesn't always work. You don't always get a satisfactory answer from that. So Doing the Chapter 11 enabled us to restructure that part of the business so that it was no longer bleeding money from the other part of the business. It gave us a legal way to exit those leases where it doesn't adversely affect the company. And between the lawyers and a judge and the landlords, you decide what the fair amount of the balance of the lease is that you will pay. And it's very organized, it's very structured. And in business, at times, it's a very smart thing to do. So worst case scenario, I would have paid out $900,000 in rents. But if I stayed in business, I would have lost $1.4 million. I didn't have to pay out $900,000, but even if I had, it still would have been less than if I kept the stores open.
Strategic and smart.
Yes.
It's got to be that way.
Yes.
Okay. Great question from Donna. All right, next question. Go right ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Crystal, and I am actually in a unique situation. I am parent of a business owner and also partner with my daughter in daycare here in Columbus. My question is, we have done exceptionally well in a very short period of time. 6 years ago, one company, 6 years later now, 5, corporate office, beginning stages of transitioning from a small business to a corporation, and also trying to brand at the same time. What advice would you give someone such as our business who's making that transition from a small business independent to now corporation?
You have an accountant?
Yes, accountant and attorneys.
Okay. Because that is the best advice that I can give you, because there are so many things that come with becoming a corporation that you just don't know. Correct. And they do. And there's letters that come in the mail and say, hey, you forgot to pay this, or you didn't file that, and you didn't even know. I wish we got a welcome kit when we became corporations that told us all of the stuff to look out for. But just make sure that your accountant and your lawyers are your best friend. Don't be afraid. You do your research and just keep pushing forward. It's kind of like when you buy the house for the first time and you have to make those first mortgage payments. After about a year, you're into it and you have a rhythm and you're good. It's sort of like that with the corporation. It feels daunting, but once you get through the first tax return, you're pretty comfortable.
Would you advise a consultant?
Only if you definitely need the advice. Getting a consultant is probably better than bringing the person on staff. It would be less expensive, but be discerning when you hire that consultant, because you want to get somebody who's really going to tell you what you don't know. You don't want someone to repeat what you already do know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I thank you for coming here, sharing your
welcome.
life career and your advice you're giving us. And you mostly answered most of my question, but I'm a mompreneur and I have 3 different businesses that have started, and my oldest daughter is an accountant. She said, Mom, focus on one. I said, can I focus on 2? So I'm focusing on 2 at this time. And the advice that you gave about the lawyer and accountant, and the partnership and all that, just answered all the questions I needed to ask. And we thank you for the forum that y'all having. And the mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
I'm Karen, owner of Synergy Salon. And, hey guys. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm so glad you came, because I couldn't do none of the stuff that I do if it wasn't for what you did. So thank you.
Thank you.
Because of the mass natural hair market that you spearheaded, what do you think contributes to you remaining the face of the brand? No matter how big you got, I always remember that first show that you were on Oprah, and you still, you've grown so much since that day. Mm-hmm. But what do you contribute to still remaining Carol's daughter?
Well, my mom's name's Carol, so I'm always going to be her daughter. I don't let them take pictures of many other people either. They have to use my face. I'm just kidding. We take pictures of other people. I think social media has a big part in being able to keep the voice of the brand in the forefront, but then also able to keep me in the forefront as well. So Carol's Daughter has their own following at Carol's Daughter, and I Am Lisa Price has her own following as well. So, you know, we live in a day and age where we can do a lot of grassroots marketing along with the traditional marketing. And, you know, because this is my life and it is who I am and it is what I believe and how I've lived for the past 21 years, it's real. It's not something that I put on and take off. I'm always this person. You know, I never, you know, not to think that I work all the time, but Carol's Daughter never turns off. I don't leave that at the office. It's not possible. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I did. And then being on HSN helps a lot as well because people are able to connect a face with the brand on a consistent basis.
We have time for one last quick question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We're just going to do a combo. Let all of them ask their questions, and then Lisa, if you can hit on each, they're going to ask their questions very quickly.
Okay, very, very quickly.
Hi. What advice can you give for people who want to start off as you did with a hobby, like the first steps that you took to actually get people to take you serious?
Okay.
And your question.
I met you in Harlem at your flagship store. I just wanted to know, are you still as accessible?
Am I still as accessible?
Accessible.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ask Abby the Realtor. I'm in Columbus and I'm of course licensed in Ohio. I'm looking to expand nationally to just one more location before adding on. How do you do research to decide what area outside of what area you should go to next or the target market?
Okay. So the first question about, I'm sorry, did we get them all? Okay. The first question, the person asked, how do you take your hobby and make it into a business and have people take you seriously? As long as you are passionate about what it is that you do, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You can't think about what other people think. You have to know that what you're doing is your passion, your purpose, and what you love, and you just go forward and do it, and people will come along. People used to think, oh, it's so cute, she's got those little things in the house, and she's mixing up. That's so cute, and now they're calling me up. You know how that goes. That cousin, that's my cousin. Uh-huh. The one that was cute a little while ago. The other person asked if I'm still as accessible. I think I am a very accessible person. There's nobody here with me today, so there's nobody blocking you from talking to me. I'm not in the stores as much as I used to be in the past because there's a lot of work that I have to do. The workplace where I am at the most often is our office. So people in my office see me, every day that I'm not on the road doing something else for the brand. I ride the subway, yeah, I'm very accessible. And then the last question, when you pick another location, I don't know about the realty business, so, I'm not going to speak from that perspective, but one of the things that I learned is when you open up the additional location, it should be someplace that you can get to very easily and someplace that you know really well. We had a store in California. We did not open that store in California until 4 years of having had stores because it's far away. So the first store was Brooklyn and then Harlem and then Jersey, but Jersey, real close to New York, like New York, Jersey. So that you could get there really quickly if something, needs attention. So until you have that formula that you can sort of churn out, the other locations, you need something that's really close to home. And the guideline that I was told with franchises was have 3 that are close to home, have them function well, and then you're probably okay to branch out.
All right. I've got to ask because that question, that's a great question. And what is next for you? I mean, can you give us a little sample of what is coming next? Now this Target thing is going, give us just a little idea.
I actually can't tell you exactly what is coming next.
I hear that a lot.
Follow us on social media. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you'll know, and you'll know you were here now when it was happening.
All right. Amazing. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for coming. And if you could all thank her with me today, just thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you.